Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're gonna talk about Dolby Atmos. So let's dive right into it. Now, first thing we have to understand, why do we use Dolby Atmos? Like, what was our thing that we utilized before this? We utilized what we call channel-based architecture. So what does that mean? That simply means whenever you are making the master file, basically thing that you're gonna send to your YouTube or basically Netflix or theaters, that mixing was done on what we call channel basis. That simply means generally there was only two mix. Basically for streaming platforms or low budget platform, you're gonna utilize stereo mix. Basically you have two channels in the data stream that has left and right, that's it. And then you're gonna have surround. It was started with DVDs and then started to go up even more than that. So 5.1 surround mix. Now what does that simply mean? Simply it means file has each channel on a different track. So if you ever looked any audio file in any type of audio editing software, you will notice that each ends up like a track. Like stereo simply means there are two tracks, left and right tracks. Now in case of 5.1 mix, there are six total tracks. So you have basically when you are buying a home theater system, generally there is front speaker, front center speaker. Now this puppy is fine-tuned in case of home theater system for vocals. That's why like many people like this 5.1 system, because like you can actually hear the vocals. Like I can guarantee you that at least 5 to 10% of you are actually dealing with the system. You have all the setup, but freaking audio is not clear. Like vocals are very muddied, or like you have to use vocal booster and all that, simply because that's an issue. If you have only left and right, that will happen. That is why in surround sound system, they specifically created one channel, center speaking, go for vocals. So there will be one track that only has vocals, like actually emphasized vocals. Then you're gonna have left, right, rear left, rear right. So that was the idea. And one subwoofer. So subwoofer won't be like, okay, take the whole data stream and apply a basically low pass filter and then just let the low frequency come out of the speaker system. So it does work. It was really good. If it's really well done, it's a really good system, but the system is very inflexible. Meaning, what happens if you have 3.1 surround system? It will not work. What happens if you have 7.2? It will not work. What if you have something bonkers, let's say 7.2.4? It will not work. It was made for that. Now how theaters got around that? Basically right channel simply means 4 speakers on the right, left channel means 4 speaker on the left, 6 channel, they basically had same channel playing on multiple speakers. So that's the whole point. System must match the file, otherwise the surround will not work. So this was the old way of working things, and it did work, but it was reaching its age. So we started a new technology known as 3D space technology. Now anybody working on basically game engines, they already know game engines were surprisingly ahead in this technology. The idea is sound is also coming from a 3D stage, not coming from, okay, file has a channel, okay, this is center channel, send it to center speaker. No, sound has a space. Basically 3-dimensional audio space is created, a cube is created. Now in this cube, sound is created as an object or sound effects. Now these effects are basically something that will emanate the sound, but it also has XYZ position. Basically your receiver will receive, this is a box. Inside this box, which has like X, Y, Z, inside this box, sounds is supposed to come from here or here or here or here. So you get the part. Like not only it has sound source, it also has XYZ coordinate system. Now the benefit of this puppy is independent of channels. There is no channel in this. There is just one fat pipe. Now for sub processing, they might have channels as high as like 128 channels, or in DTX case scenario, unlimited channels. So the benefit of that is it is independent. What does that translate to? That simply translates to you can have as many speakers as you want or as few speakers as you want, aka you can go down to stereo system or go as bonkers as theater system, where you can have 8 speaker on the left side, 8 speaker on the right side, 8 speaker on the back side, 12 speaker on the roof, and 5 speakers on the front. You can go bonkers, and this basically Dolby Atmos is like, I got this, man, simply because the sound is created in a stage, and that stage is being recorded based on your receiver end. So but one thing you must understand, that will not work with normal surround system. It will try to do its best, but it needs roof speaker for maximum effect, because you need XYZ. But if all your speakers are in one plane, yes, sound does emanate everywhere, but inherently you are creating a 2-dimensional plane. So for 3-dimensionality, it must have roof speaker. Now there are ways to get around it, but generally, trust me whenever I say this, if you ever listen to a room which is like properly done and it has actual roof firing speaker, you're like, yes, I was stupid to think that it can be bypassed. So and how does this handling happen? This handling happens on your receiver. Basically, if your receiver will know, like, hey, I have this many speakers, or my speakers are tuned like this, that's how it will work. And if you are familiar with high-end receivers, you know for a fact that receivers have room correction. So basically, they will give you a microphone. You're supposed to put the microphone exactly where your ear is, like in the listener, basically your sofa, your bed, or whatever have you, and then it's gonna play a calibration tone. Based on that, it will phase correct any issue, because you could have one speaker that has, like, longer cable than others, could have smaller cable. It takes time to travel, right? Then if the sound is out of sync, it will mess up the experience. So receiver handles it. So benefit is you can go as low as you want or as high as you want, and it's completely free because XYZ data is there on each sound source. Now on the receiver's end, let me be very clear. Like, many times people are like, you can buy a soundbar. Yes, it's better than nothing, but flat out you have to have a proper speaker system to actually utilize it. If you want to feel like home theater system, just buy this. You have to do this. However, be mindful. The reason why older receivers are not really good with this is because it requires a lot of processing. So when the early movies were, like, basically when the Atmos system was started, they were not pushing the technology much. Basically, right now, even only few movies are, like, truly pushing the soundstage technology, because you do not want to make a movie where it's like only few people can actually enjoy this. You never want to make that. So that's why, like, heck, even you can go in Netflix and try to see how many HDR movies are there. Very few, simply because Netflix data shows like there are not that many people who have HDR movies. That's why old movies will not be remastered anytime soon. Some that are very big, very popular, then they will, but most won't. So it needs a lot of processing, and there must be a handshake for that, and that handshake can be very annoying sometimes. You can have an amazing TV like this one, LG CX55, and it has every Tom, Dick and Harry feature that you want, including Dolby Atmos. So I can utilize eARC from this puppy, send it to a proper soundbar or proper receiver, and I will not get a handshake. Why? Simply because the HDMI cable was right. So that's why, because of the processing requirement, it does require a handshake. It's not as simple as just like plonk the cable. It is idiotically complex. And mic for calibration is something very, very important. And generally, to describe Atmos system, not every manufacturer will follow this guideline, but generally you will have 5.1.2. Now that 0.2 that happens after the subwoofer channel is denoting roof channels. So that's a basic system. Like, bare minimum you have to get into 5.1.2. Now if you want to do this on cheap, thankfully, unless your room is very big and 100 watt of audio power is more than good enough, you can try basically Yamaha made 7.1. Now the reason why they are calling it 7.1 is because calling it 5.1.2 will confuse people, so they are like 7.1. Many 7.1 modern systems are actually that 5.1.2, and if you really want to feel the feelings, you have to go to 7.2.4. now this 4 is kind of interesting because now you have XYZ on the roof axis also. So the sound stage can not only have, okay, the basically Godzilla's tail is going over Kong's head like this, it will like actually there will be as a dimensionality to it. That's why that 4.4 is there. Subwoofer 2, apparently, I'm not an expert on this, it's like, and does not even make sense to me, but many enthusiasts and professionals, they are like, dude, it's much better to have 2 smaller subwoofers than to have 1 giant one. I do not know the reason. Apparently there's supposed to be a bass crawl, and like how low frequency interacts with things, it's much better to have multiple source of it rather than just like 1 powerful source. Again, I'm not a pro in this, and again, this does look more bonkers than I have anything seen, but I do like the idea of 0.4 as in like 4 roof speaker, and that's the benefit. You can even have like 8 on the roof, or you can have like 9 channel. Anyway, go bonkers as much as you want. The Atmos will handle the processing. Now what does it mean in terms of your setup, as in like what you have to do? From our point of view, is just a software package. Heck, if you are using Android phone, or if you are utilizing Samsung phone, even a low budget end, you can just scroll down, you'll find Atmos. So if you are utilizing any streaming service that has Atmos audio, it will handshake with the software, and then it will calibrate the output. Basically, it's like, hey, my person is using wire headphone, utilize this sort of EQ, quote unquote. And if the person is like, hey, utilizing Bluetooth, it will try to do its best. So that's the whole point. Good headphones will give you good experience, but be mindful, do not expect. There is no bypassing like actually requiring a subsystem, basically home theater system for true soundscape system. Now upward firing speakers is a kind of compromise, because if I say ceiling speakers, Most of you like, dude, that's something that I only see in malls or like, shops or theaters. It's not something that average Joe has in your house, like having actual speakers. So a compromise was created, that is upward firing speaker. Now these are better than nothing, but do not expect it to match basically a true ceiling speaker flat out. I provided a lot of videos on there, you should check it out. Now again, if you have no option, or like in case of my house, I have concrete house, cutting a hole in a busy ceiling, that's not unacceptable. I'm not gonna do that. So in my case, I have to figure out a very convoluted method of mounting speakers on the roof. So you can do that. Now soundbars, you can easily notice that many soundbars have upward firing speakers for this exact reason. Now issue with that is it does work, but because sound is not a laser pointer, you can't just have like, okay, bounce from there. The best directional speaker still would emanate sound enough that you can like, dude, that speaker is working or that is working, even if you're the mean majority of the energy is coming from the bounce back of the roof, you will still that speaker is working, that is working. So it creates a kind of muddied experience, and that's why like when you have actual ceiling speakers, 2 good, 4 awesome. Now be mindful, that's why I specified like not that many movies are utilizing that. That's why I keep bringing back Godzilla. It's like that time they actually spend time to master it, and because it has enough scenes where you're like, whoa, that XYZ all access. And apparently Furious 9 is also utilizing that, Fast and Furious 9. So that should also have some amazing effects when jet fighters are going and all that jazz. So setup wise for you and I, most of the time is just a button that we have to turn on. For good experience, you have to have system that has upwards firing speaker, at least bare minimum. Do not buy a sound bar that claims Atmos and does not have upward firing. That's like nope, that's just nope. So this is what we have to do to utilize that. And trust me when I say this, it's like sooner or later you will realize I should have just bought a receiver. And unless you are talking about huge room, a receiver that does not have too much power, is as in like low power of 100 watts, more than enough. And those 100 watts are RMS, not PMPO. So PMPO, like I have a music system just here, you can barely see the speakers, where like PMPO was like 2000 watts. I'm like, dude, no, you are 20 watt RMS. So 20 watt these things are. And trust me when I say this, for even a big hall like this, my home, 70-80 watt will start to reach a point where it's like, are you really serious about hearing damage and making sure every single neighbor knows what you're doing? So be mindful. 100 watt, people are like, that does not have enough oomph. More than enough for more than enough people, and especially people who live in wooden houses. Like, dude, your sound will literally travel outside the neighborhood. So be mindful with the setup. So this was my presentation with Dolby Atmos. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.